Hey everyone, so today I want to talk to you about aiming. Now, a lot of you have asked me how I aim at my targets. Now, in a nutshell, all you do is point your bow arm at the target, load the arrow onto the target, draw, release, and you hit your target. And that's pretty much the gist of how you aim. However, when the target is static, there comes much more into play, such as these targets over here in this field archery course, or in general most field archery courses in UK. Their targets are not moving targets. Most of them are just static behind trees and things like that. So all you have to do is aim. Now, in reality, this gives you the opportunity to prepare your shot. So when it comes to static targets, what I like to do is I like to align my whole leg toward the target, my shoulder toward the target, and then I point with my bow arm at the target as well. Once I load my arrow onto the target, I make sure I look inside the bow. So between the string and the bow, I look inside the bow, down the shaft, and I make sure I see the point of my arrow, and that's the point that I want to exactly align with the spot that I want to hit, basically. And this requires me to tilt my head a little bit forward so I can see down the shaft. And once I've aligned the arrow point with the spot that I want to hit, in this case I'm aiming or aligning my arrow right below the red dot of the target. As you can see, that's my previous arrow. Then I draw back and I release. And I hit it exactly where I was aiming. So from this angle, so you can see how I look down the shaft. Don't worry, my camera is on a tripod, so I'm not endangering anyone. Last time I did a shot like this, most of you commented that saying I shot my camera guy. Once I point at the target, I want to look down the shaft and make eye contact with the point of my arrow. So the way I do that is I look between my string and the bow, so on the inside of my bow. So if I was to shoot left-handed, basically, I'll be looking down this side, down the right side of my bow. And since I'm shooting right-handed, I will be looking on the left side of my bow, basically. So I align my point right at the camera, like so. That I know I am aiming right at the lens of the camera. I like to keep both eyes open because I like to see depth. Some of you might have a weak eye and a strong eye. You can choose to close one of the eyes if you want. However, I prefer to keep both eyes open, so it's literally whatever you prefer. And then you look down the shaft, align the point exactly where you want to hit the target. So the smaller you aim, the smaller you'll miss. It's like they say, aim small, miss small. Some people say aim small, miss them all, but you know, it depends on how experienced you are. Anyway, so look down the shaft, align the point where you want to hit the target, and then you draw back. I reach my anchor point and I release. And I hit it right where I want to hit it. As you can see. Okay, so in a gist, we all know how to aim now, hopefully. However, if you want to go to a bit more detailed explanation, then let's say when you do a field archery course, you will encounter close range targets, mid range targets, and far range targets. I personally think it depends on how light your bow is. Those distances can vary, but for me, for example, my close range targets is anything below the 20 meters, and anything between 20 and let's say 35 meters, I consider those to be mid-range, and then anything above 35 meters, I consider those to be far range targets. So it's important to understand your distances when it comes to aiming, or when you want to hit the target where you're aiming at, basically. So in this case, if you look at the fox shooting from this specific peg, I consider it to be a close range target. Now, with close range targets, what I do is I can aim straight on the spot that I want to hit. What's gonna happen is one, I either hit it depending on how close the target is. If it's very close to 20 meters, I'll probably do that. I'll probably just aim right at the spot that I want to hit, and then hopefully my arrow will hit the target. Sometimes the target might be a bit closer than I think, so in that case the arrow might go over the top and I might hit the backboard. So if I give you an example right now, I'm just gonna aim right at the spot that I want to hit. As you can see, my arrow went higher into the neck of the target, and that's because I was aiming right at the spot. Like I said, the target is closer than I think it is. So now I'm gonna do the exact same thing. However, I'm gonna aim below the spot that I want to hit, and I'm gonna try and aim maybe an inch below that and see what's gonna happen. So again, you align your body, everything you do, you take the steps that you're supposed to be taking, and then you just align the tip where you want to hit it, and then you go down the line a little bit, so an inch. You draw back, and then you hit it. I came a bit lower from the first arrow, you'll see that. However, it's still not low enough of an aim to hit the target, so I need to go even lower. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna aim at the belly of the target. So when he's laying down, I'm gonna aim at that lowest spot of the target and see where the lander will land, where the arrow will land. It doesn't have a lighting knock, so you might not be able to see it, but let's have a look. Okay, this time I went too low on the target, and in a second I will go closer. So this is how you adjust your aim basically. So the first arrows were too high, now I went a bit lower, so I actually hit the target slightly higher than where I was aiming. So I need to go even, no, I need to go up now. I'm gonna aim exactly at the last arrow that landed. I'm gonna aim at that arrow and see if I can hit my target where I'm supposed to hit it. And there you go. That's how you adjust. So if we get closer, because those last two arrows you won't be able to see, I think, in the camera. So we're gonna go a bit closer and I'll explain to you what I mean by adjusting your aim. So if we look at the target here, so like I said, this was the first arrow. I was aiming straight on the spot that I wanted to hit, and it landed high. Second arrow, I aimed a little bit lower, it came low as well. It hit the target low. The third arrow, this one, I was aiming right here at the bottom of the target, and it landed a bit higher. This arrow, however, I aimed at this target, at this arrow, sorry. I aimed at this arrow, and it landed right where I'm supposed to hit it. So you need to be able to make these adjustments as you're aiming, as you're practicing. And practice is very important. So sometimes you come across very far targets, such as that buffalo over there. Now, judging the distance is an important aspect of aiming as well, because I know for a fact if I aim dead straight at the target, my arrow is going to drop short. So I need to aim slightly above. So either at the top bit of the target or maybe even above that. It depends. So it's very important you experience these kind of shots so you can then judge when it comes to it where to aim basically. So for this target specifically, I'm gonna be doing all my steps. I'm gonna align my body, everything, point at the target. However, I'm gonna aim at the top bit of the target, and then I'm gonna see where that arrow lands. Since I've shot this target with my Saluki 73 poundage bow, I'm gonna now do the same thing with my Paragon Raider bow, which is a 66 poundage bow. Now I know I cannot aim the same way I aimed with the Saluki because my arrow will drop because it's just a lighter bow. That's the whole gist. Anyway, so let's see how I do. So again, align your body, everything towards the target, point at the target, see where the point is of the arrow shaft, align it with the point you want to hit, and then just want to go on that same line. You just want to go a little bit up, up, up until you reach the top bit of the target. So that will be the top bit of its back. And then you draw back, anchor, and you release. And in this case, I hit it exactly where I was supposed to hit it. So if we go and have a closer look at that target, because it's too good to cut the video. So when we come to the target here, as you can see, I've hit it right in the center of where I wanted to hit it. I was aiming here. However, when I aligned the point of my target in this specific area, I went in the same line, I went up and I aligned it at the top bit of the target. That's when my arrow comes down towards the target, it just drops in the same spot. So because out of experience, I know roughly where to aim on this target with this bow to be able to hit it. And then I know exactly where to aim on this target with my heavier bow, where to hit it. That doesn't mean that it will be a hit exactly where I'm aiming 100% of the time. No, it just means that I need to make sure my line is correct, and then everything else is just experience. And the more I shoot, the more I understand where to aim at what distance, basically. So these are important things. You need to get out, you need to start shooting at variety of distances, especially if you do 3D archery. If you do range archery, which is set distance, all you have to do is figure out where you're supposed to be aiming and then repeat the shot every time you shoot at the target, because your distance doesn't change, your distance is the same. However, when it comes to field archery, your distances will be changing a lot. So that's why it's important to know and to experience these targets, and then you will understand where to aim and how high or how low to aim to be able to hit the spot that you want to hit. Awesome. Sometimes you will come to the course and then you do everything right. Well, at least you think you're doing everything right, and then you start missing your target. And it's absolutely fine. On those days, you just continue shooting until you correct your form and you figure out what it is that is not working for you, because it's better to have those days on a practice range than having them in a competition, basically. So make sure you're focused when you're practicing. Make sure you know exactly what you're doing wrong. Whenever you're focusing on a target, whenever you want to shoot the target, you have to go through your shot cycle, and having every single step correctly will allow you to hit the target where you're aiming. And then it's just practice, practice, practice. So I suggest you get out, you practice. If it doesn't work, it's fine. Figure out what works for you, and then practice that to a point where you cannot get it wrong anymore. So it has to become a muscle memory. And then, yeah, man, just enjoy it. That's the best part of it. Just enjoy hitting your target where you're aiming. So, yeah, man, have fun. Anyway, this is pretty much how I aim. So these are my steps. I align the side of my body towards the target. I point at the target. I load my arrow onto the bow. I look down the shaft on the inside of my bow. I align the point of my arrow onto the smallest spot on the target that I want to hit, and then I draw back towards my anchor point. As soon as I reach my anchor point, you can take a second or you can just release. It's up to you. I like to switch between the two because I simply forget to take a second sometimes. So as soon as I reach my anchor point, I release. But it's much better if you actually take a split second once you reach your anchor point and then release. Anyway, these are a lot of things, but I want you to just focus on the steps for aiming. Don't worry about if your arrow drops short or it goes over the target, as long as your line is correct with the spot that you want to hit. And then once your line is correct, then you can judge for yourself how high or how low you have to aim to hit that specific spot. So leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. I don't mind. I'm just doing this for fun. So thumbs up and shoot away. Peace.